the first match on the show was a ladder match for their casino chip because they were supposed to be in Las Vegas, and it's their annual thing. And 9 guys in a ladder match to get the casino chip and they actually entered it. They did, I believe, yes, for a title opportunity. Now they have transferred Vince McMahon's hatred of some words at random to their own company, to where now, just like wrestlers don't even know that they're supposed to be called belts now, the wrestlers will be saying title opportunity throughout the entire business in the next couple of years instead of title shot.
At one point, Excalibur said, I don't know if it was the heavyweight championship or the TNT championship, but he said, here he is. He has the championship title. And it's like, what? What is that?
That's like the fucking bread or the bread sandwich. All right. Anyway. So the ladder match, they have a few promos. Jelly Nutella was up first. He looks and talks like a beach crackhead that you asked to imitate a wrestling promo on your video camera in exchange for a crack rock. Then here comes you roll a window down and there's some fucking goof crackhead on the fucking boardwalk and you say, hey, make us a funny wrestling promo. We'll give you a rock. And he does. He tries. That's what he did. Then was Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc with Penelope Ford. It looked like a casting call for a British remake of The Addams Family with an all-midget cast. Sabian's either 5'2" or Havoc was standing on a box. Go back and look at it. They stuck Chris Daniels in there. He did actually a good, serious promo about his partners. So the best promo was from a guy that wasn't in the match. And then, of course, best friends. You got Trent, Hatchet Head, and Pockets. And they did a goofy interview where Pockets didn't understand the fucking match or how to win. Typical horseshit with them. Then we have the ladder match for the title opportunity. Kazarian and Sky start out. The partners wrestling. Well, wouldn't you know who won the pony? And they did some nice spots and wrestled, and they're very athletic. But there's just no reason to have, unless it's meant as something important, why just have the partners? Because, that's a cool thing. Oh, the partners got to wrestle. Because marks are booking this shit. But then they had a nice double knockout, actually went head-to-head, and then here comes Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. But at that point, Havoc, who's not in the match, comes in behind... SCU, yeah, Havoc came in behind from the blind side with a ladder and knocked SCU out again while they were looking at fucking Sabian, but this was all in front of the referee. But then they explained, well, there's no DQ in a ladder match. Well, that's convenient. And there's ladders all set up around the ring instead of one. And, goddamn Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. They fucking take a somewhat shaky premise and have a classic match out of it, and then they've prostituted the fucking thing ever since. So Havoc, who's not in the match, and Sabian are beating up SCU in front of the referee because they're no DQ. So they've made the match garbage at 2 minutes in. And then here comes Darby Allen, who makes a little bit of a comeback and then spends forever setting up ladders and a barricade, and comes off the top of the ladder, gets his skateboard, comes off the top of the ladder, puts the skateboard under his feet to skateboard onto the guy that he'd put on the fucking barricade that was leaning over oh, for fuck's sake, yes. But he missed. And he fucking crashes and burns, and he's out for a while. This is less than 5 minutes into this fucking match. Pockets is next. And, of course, he wanders around and doesn't care and doesn't go to the ring and asks the announcers how to win the match and makes everything that you haven't been able to take seriously up until now even more stupid, because he's a stupid idiot with a stupid gimmick and a stupid fucking match. And everybody else in this match had to lay still at ringside or disappear while he did his fucking gimmick for his adoring millions of fans that ain't watching on television. So it made all the guys look like idiots, even the ones that hadn't already been made to look like idiots. Then they did some comedy where Pockets dodged everybody and they fly out of the ring, and then he didn't know how to set up a ladder. Did you like that one, Brian? He doesn't understand the concept of a ladder. He just stands on the ladder as it's laying on the ground and reaches up.
No, this match wasn't really for me. I wasn't the target audience for this match.
Damn it. Could this match be for anybody? What could any adult? Anybody who was ever a wrestling fan who gave a shit? Anybody who isn't a complete jack-off and just wants to go out there and play with his friends? Oh, guess who's next? Colt Cabana. And Colt walks in and chats with Pockets and then pushes him out to the floor. I wrote, this is already excruciating. I wrote, I would be embarrassed for Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, but they brought this on themselves. So then Pockets beat up both members of SCU, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, with his hands in his pockets. So they're meaningless now. SCU might as well fucking move somewhere back to California and set up a fucking orange stand. I wish I'd have had Pockets in OVW for 15 minutes just so I could tell him what I thought of him and then proceed to kick him out of amateur class in front of everybody. Then here comes Jelly Nutella. And he hit, I say hit in quotation marks, sloppy dives on everybody. And in between them, did you notice he was running in between the dives like he had diarrhea and he was trying not to shit himself?
No, but his pants always look like they're about to fall down.
No, go back and watch. Did you delete this already? I hope you did, actually. But I deleted it as soon as I could. But if you watch when he first came in and hit his dives. In between them, he was running like he had diarrhea with his fucking butt cheeks clenched together and little prancy fucking steps. Or maybe that's just how a guy who has never seen a fucking athlete in person runs. I don't know. Let's see. Now they're hitting each other with chairs. Well, that's good. Might as well bring that in. Then here comes Luchasaurus, old Dino. Luchasaurus is too long. We're going to call him Dino from now on. Dino makes a comeback. And then here was one of the spots where he tosses Sabian over the ropes to the guys who had been standing there literally for 30 seconds waiting to catch him for no other reason. So then, Darby Allen gets back in the ring and sells his left knee. I wrote he sells his left knee really well unless he's really hurt. Come to find out, he apparently was selling fairly well because, goddamn, he was decent later on, I think. Anyway, then the final guy is the mystery opponent that they've teased, right? And it's Brian Cage, who I have heard of. I've heard of his name. I've not seen him. Holy shit, he's huge. Jacked up bodybuilder. And he comes out with Taz. And then Taz, being the veteran and knowing that this thing is doomed, immediately turns around and leaves, walks backstage. So he wasn't out there to get all this shit on him. Have you seen Brian Cage before? I have never seen him.
I've seen clips of him. I don't know if I've ever watched a whole match of his, but I've seen highlights.
Okay, he looks fucking great, and he did some good shit. And once again, this illustrates either these people have no idea how to get new talent over, no idea how to get a monster over, no idea how to get anybody over, or they think this is the way to get him over. You don't get over when you win a fucking pissing match with a skunk. You don't win, or you don't get over when you win one of the worst matches that has ever been seen in the history of professional wrestling. A fucking mess when they've already buried you before you win the thing. So Brian Cage comes in. He's not very tall, but he's wide. He's got a great body. He beats up the midgets. He really looked impressive here. But because, as I wrote, but his debut in a stinker, rotten match like this is wasted. Everybody gloms on top of him. It beats the fuck out of him, 8-on-1 or whatever, with sloppy fake brawling. They hit him with a ladder, knocked him to the floor, and then they covered him up with ladders Well, they built a thing where he's in the middle. They put the ladders beside him. They put the barricade on top, one of the casino chips, the set pieces. They bury Brian Cage underneath all this stuff, and he doesn't move for over 5 minutes. That was their creative way to debut the fucking badass and then immobilize him where it makes him look like a badass. Oh, fuck it. This went on and on. If Ford is freely interfering, Havoc is freely interfering. Here comes Trent and Hatchet Head. They're interfering. Then here comes Marco Stunted Growth, just to make sure that nobody is taking any of these people seriously by this point, which, don't worry, mission accomplished long before this. But to make sure to piss on this whole thing, Marco Stunted Growth comes in with a 3-foot ladder and sets it up and climbs up on top of it and fucking grabs Pockets for a choke slam and gives Pockets a choke slam with Dino's help. Somebody that alleges themselves to be in the professional wrestling business thought any of this was a good idea. Then Jelly Nutella gave Pockets a big slam onto the fucking poker chip that was sitting on top of Brian Cage, who still didn't come out. He's been under there about 5 minutes at my timer count. And at 6 minutes, Cage finally comes out. And then to make sure that he doesn't get over further, he gets with the big guy, Dino, and they go back and forth with nobody selling. And it got real sloppy because Dino has no clue how to work like a fucking big man, a monster. It's way too soon for Cage to be so competitive with an underneath guy. And Dino, please make no mistake, Dino right now is an underneath guy. So we know where Cage sits. Cage sits in the underneath section because he's, fucking hell. Cage finally wipes out Dino. He levels. Darby Allen came back. He wasn't crippled. He's back in this thing again. Then the spot was going to be to show how fucking powerful Cage is at this point after he's been buried by fucking job guys under debris for 5 minutes. We're going to now show how powerful he is. He's going to put Darby Allen on the ladder. The ladder is sitting across the goddamn turnbuckle. It was sitting across the ropes at the buckle, so it's level. He's going to put Darby Allen on the ladder. He's then going to pick the ladder and Darby Allen up at a press slam and throw it all over the top rope. But he puts Darby Allen on the ladder, but the ladder wouldn't cooperate. Because it tipped over. So then he has to do it again, and then he picks it up and he throws it all over everybody, and he climbs up and gets the chip and wins the fucking match. My thought at the time, and then I will give you your opportunity for a platform to respond. My thought at the time was, and I quote, absolute garbage match with all the comedy mud show goofs and rotten phony spots. And they think this is going to get Cage over as a top talent. Cage should call Stephen P. New to sue whoever booked this shit for negligence and career homicide. And we ended 40 minutes into the show, and this is all we've seen is this goddamn mess. The exact antithesis of what your goal is as a booker when you put together any kind of match. Every wrestler in this thing looked like an idiot for being in it, for cooperating with stupidity. The business looked silly and fake. There were no heels, no baby faces. One guy won, but nobody got over because it was a complete fucking mess. And people could have been seriously injured while they were doing this thing for no apparent reason. Fuck whoever inflicted this on the public. What'd you think?
I didn't like it. I mean, if I can give one positive, I said to myself in the middle of the match, Darby Allen just disappeared in the middle of the match for a long period of time. And it was a long, long, long match. But I said there's only two guys. There's only two guys who can win this. Darby or Brian Cage. Those are the only two options. But you never know with these idiots. You never know if they're going to anoint or, push someone else up the card. And the two guys who I thought would win it, one of them ended up winning it. The match went on forever. It got too silly. I remember when ladder matches meant something. It was like, holy shit, a ladder match. And look, you can't go back in time. You know, once the cat was out of the bag, once you saw Shawn and Razor and a few other ones, you know, it was never going to be that feeling you had that first time, but still it used to mean something.
Once there were 18 ladders at ringside, once they started putting together, you know, shop class projects with the ladders and the tables, once they started adding multiple people, everyone fighting for themselves so it could make no sense. Once nobody knows who the heels and baby faces are, so you don't know who to cheer for, who to boo.
It was just a car crash. It was laid out. I thought the pacing was really poorly put together, or I don't even know if you put together pacing, but it was paced really poorly, I thought. And, you know, again, going back to the whole sports-based wrestling thing, I think a lot of people were hopeful when AEW started that it would kind of be an American version of New Japan Pro Wrestling with staples of successful American pro wrestling mixed in, whether it be promos or angles or whatever it may be. But it would be serious matches with angles and promos. And this match was just filled with goofiness and bad comedy. I've said it before. I don't watch wrestling to see bad comedy. And I think the one thing that I thought was interesting was the reaction to this match and this show and the main event by a lot of people on social media who were just like, it was fun. I haven't had as much fun watching wrestling as this in a while.
Oh, God.
Wrestling is supposed to be fun. And
you know what? No, either they never watched wrestling or they were never wrestling fans if they think wrestling is supposed to be fucking funny and silly, and that they actually appreciate this. Because we hear from the other side, all the many millions of people who don't watch wrestling anymore because of this horse shit. And they were hoping for something different.
And I think a lot of people don't realize just how big that audience is. The audience that rejects this, the audience that doesn't like it, the audience that turns it off. We have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, you can measure it. It's all the people that were watching this shit up until about 15 years ago that don't watch it anymore.
Yeah, AEW's numbers ain't that much better than ours. We know how big the audience is.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just think that this is a bad sign for things going forward, not just for AEW, but wrestling as a whole, because so many of the participants in this match are the kids who grew up out of the Attitude Era and out of the Ruthless Aggression Era and out of the WWE comedy era. And I've always said it, that they weren't interested in sports-based wrestling. They were interested in doing their version of WWE-style entertainment and bad comedy. And that's what this match was, and that's what various things on this show was.
And now for the future generations of wrestlers, they're going to grow up thinking this is what this stuff is supposed to look like because of these jolly jack-off jokers. And that's so we're done. I mean, it's over with this. But this sports-based pro wrestling promotion is a perfect example of why I have no desire whatsoever to be involved in pro wrestling ever again, because it's not going to get any better. It's going to keep getting like this until it goes away, because the people who want to be wrestlers are now not watching the great talents, the Flairs, the Steamboats, the whatever. They're watching goddamn goofs do skits. And so now, and it's a whole lot easier to get on a wrestling show than it is on Saturday Night Live.
And I think the other thing is, at times AEW tries to do some serious stuff on their shows. And when you have crap like this opening up your show and eating up such a large portion of the show, it takes away from the more serious stuff on the show, which, by the way, they could do a serious angle or a serious promo. It seems like they don't know how to follow up on that or make it work, but that's another story for another match.
Well, how are they going to do a serious angle when what else can be done to anybody? Well, we'll get to that later on.
Yeah, but no, I did not like the match. It was not for me. I am not the audience for... I'm one of the people who doesn't watch professional wrestling because it's fun. I watch it for the same reason that I like watching boxing or baseball. Although predetermined, I want to be able to lose myself in it. And there is someone you root for, there's someone you don't like, and not be treated like a child or an idiot, or have to suspend every, you know, they say you have to suspend disbelief for professional wrestling. This is to a whole nother level. The guy doesn't know how to use a ladder. The little guy comes in with a 3-foot ladder. I mean, it's stupid. It's just stupid. And it's, you know, whatever. It's Tim and Eric wrestling, and I don't get it.
Well, and also you say you don't watch wrestling for fun. You have fun watching wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You know what I meant.
Well, no, I was helping you out there.